Nepal is in chaos. A government has fallen in just 48 hours, brought down not by political rivals, but by its own youth. Two men, both with foreign links, are being hailed as heroes, but their methods reveal a far darker story. And the scariest part is, this exact same script was used in Bangladesh just months ago. I'm talking about Balen Shah and Sudan Gurung, the two masterminds who turned Nepal's youth into a revolutionary army. But here's what mainstream media won't tell you about these so called heroes of democracy. Let's start with Balen Shah, the rapper who became Kathmandu's mayor. To many, he comes across as the ideal youth icon: talented, educated, successful. He even studied engineering in Karnataka, our very own state. But here's where it gets interesting. This same person, who got his education in India, later banned all Indian movies from Kathmandu cinemas. Why? Because one dialogue in Adi Purush called Sita, India's daughter. Think about it. A man who studied in our country, used our education system, then turns around and attacks our cultural heritage. But wait, there's more. Shah didn't just stop at movies. He put up a map of Greater Nepal in his office. A map that shows Indian territories as part of Nepal. And here's the part most people don't realize. Shah didn't just use politics to rise, he used rap. In 2023, Time magazine listed him among its top 100 emerging leaders, while the New York Times profiled him as a youth icon challenging the establishment. In short, Western media carefully framed him as a fresh reformer. That framing mattered because it gave Shah legitimacy at home and visibility abroad. His songs, like Balidan, openly attacked Nepal's political leaders as thieves looting the nation, and even called soldiers fools protecting the corrupt. These weren't just lyrics, they became rallying cries for an entire generation. During the protests, he even reposted Balidan on Facebook with the caption, "Let the government allow me to speak." Now you might ask, how did a rapper rise to such political power so quickly? Here's the answer that will shock you. Shah has been meeting with the US ambassador to Nepal multiple times. In 2022, right after becoming mayor. Again in 2024, when he was reportedly invited to visit America. The US Embassy even discussed IT training programs for Nepali youth in American companies through Shah. This helped him boost his influence even further. But Balen Shah is just half the story. The real puppet master is Sudan Gurung, a 36-year-old who used to run nightclubs in Kathmandu. After the 2015 earthquake, he transformed himself into a social activist and founded an NGO called Hami Nepal. Sounds noble, right? But wrong. At first, Hami Nepal built its reputation on disaster relief: floods, landslides, earthquakes. But by 2020, it had morphed into something else entirely. Hami Nepal received 200 million Nepali rupees from foreign entities. We're talking Coca-Cola, Viber, Gold Star, Mulberry Hotels. All international companies pumping money into this organization. But why would foreign companies fund a small Nepali NGO so generously? The answer lies in what happened next. Gurung used this money to build a digital army. He created Discord servers, online chat rooms where people could talk and share information in real time. Protesters used these servers to plan their attacks. And when I say attacks, I mean real violence. Leaked chats from these Discord groups showed instructions for making petrol bombs, plans to target airports, and discussions about attacking politicians with weapons. Essentially, they became a digital command center for organizing real-world attacks. And here's the darker truth. Hami Nepal wasn't just giving logistical support. They were running psychological ops on Nepal's Gen Z. Instagram Reels teaching how to protest. Discord groups gamifying street clashes. Hashtags flooding TikTok to make teens feel like joining was cool and inevitable. Even leaked chats revealed calls to make the streets look like Bangladesh. This wasn't organic anger. It was digital radicalization of teenagers as young as 13. If this is helping you see how young minds are being turned into weapons through digital manipulation, take a moment to support this research. I've spent hours connecting the dots and exposing what mainstream media won't touch. Subscribe now. And if you like my research, let me know in the comments. Your support motivates me to create many more videos like this, where we expose the truth, not just headlines. These same Discord groups were discussing regime change modeled exactly on Bangladesh. They wanted to flood international media with violent images to build global pressure for government collapse. Sound familiar? Right. On September 7th, Shah posted on Facebook supporting the Gen Z protests, while cleverly maintaining distance by saying he couldn't attend due to age restrictions. The very next day, September 8th, Gurung's organized youth flooded the streets in 8 major cities across Nepal: Kathmandu, Pokhara, Viratnagar, Bharatpur, Butwal, Itahari, Birganj, and Damak. 19 people died in police firing. The parliament building was breached and set on fire. Within 24 hours, Nepal's prime minister resigned. The president stepped down. Multiple ministers quit. The army chief took control. A democratically elected government collapsed in less than 2 days. And notice the roles here: Shah the face, Gurung the hands. Shah's charisma pulled the youth. His music gave them slogans. His Facebook posts gave them permission. Gurung, on the other hand, provided logistics, coordination, and international money. One agitator, one organizer. Together, they became the perfect storm. Now, let me connect the dots for you. This is the exact same blueprint that was used in Bangladesh. Youth led protests, social media coordination, foreign NGO backing, rapid escalation from specific grievances to complete regime change, and finally, army intervention leading to PM resignation. In Bangladesh, they removed Sheikh Hasina, who was friendly to India, and installed Mohammad Yunus, who has US backing. In Nepal, they've removed KP Oli's government and are projecting Balen Shah, a man with clear US connections, as the next prime minister. But why should India be worried? Nepal sits between India and China. Any government in Nepal directly affects our border security, our trade routes, and our strategic interests. For decades, India has maintained influence in Nepal through cultural ties, people to people connections, and economic partnerships. But now, Western powers are using the strategy they used in Ukraine, in Belarus, in Hong Kong, and recently in Bangladesh. They fund local NGOs, build youth movements, use social media for coordination, and then trigger regime change when the time is right. The most dangerous part? They're using our own neighborhood against us. Sri Lanka's economic collapse, Bangladesh's regime change, and now Nepal's youth revolution, all happening within India's immediate vicinity. This is not a coincidence. Think about it from America's perspective. They want to contain China's rise. India, on the other hand, is becoming too independent, refusing to bow down even when Trump slapped 50% tariffs on our goods. The best way to pressure both countries is to destabilize South Asia through regime changes that bring pro-Western governments to power. Shah and Gurung are not heroes fighting corruption. They are carefully placed assets, executing a larger geopolitical game. Here's what makes this even more dangerous for India. Nepal's new generation is being systematically turned against us. The same youth who used to view India as a cultural sibling are now seeing us as oppressors. This perception shift is being engineered through digital propaganda and anti-India incidents, manufactured by leaders like Shah. And make no mistake, this anti-India stance isn't accidental, it's deliberate. Shah's ban on Indian films, Gurung's exploitation of the Orisha student's death, even Shah's display of a greater Nepal map, all of it plays well with Western media, who eagerly frame these actions as asserting sovereignty. In reality, it's the price of Western legitimacy. Attack India, and you'll be hailed as a nationalist hero abroad. Remember the Orisha Engineering College incident where a Nepali student died? Gurung's Hami Nepal immediately used this tragedy to stoke anti-India sentiment across Nepal. They turned an unfortunate individual incident into a national narrative about Indian persecution of Nepalis. This is hybrid warfare at its finest. Bangladesh's Sheikh Hasina was removed in July 2024. Nepal's KP Oli resigned in September 2025. The pattern is clear. The speed is accelerating. The next target could be anywhere in South Asia, where India has traditionally maintained influence. What makes this strategy so effective is that it uses genuine local grievances as a starting point. Yes, Nepal has corruption. Yes, there are governance failures. Yes, young people are frustrated. But foreign actors are exploiting these real problems to achieve their own geopolitical objectives. The tragedy is that ordinary Nepali youth genuinely believe they're fighting for their country's future. They don't realize they are being used as pawns in a much larger game. Shah and Gurung have successfully convinced them that removing their own elected government and embracing Western backed alternatives is the path to progress. For India, this should serve as an urgent alert. We are watching our neighborhood being systematically flipped, from traditional allies to potential adversaries. Each regime change makes our borders less secure, our influence weaker, and our strategic position more vulnerable. The question now is, what happens next in Nepal? Will Shah become Prime Minister with his US connections and anti India stance? Will Gurung's foreign funded organization continue building youth movements across South Asia? Will this template be replicated in other neighboring countries? The Nepal story is not just about two men toppling a government. It's about the future of South Asian geopolitics. It's about whether India can maintain its sphere of influence or watch helplessly as foreign powers engineer regime changes right on our borders. The time for action is now, before this script is repeated in other countries around us. If this analysis helped you understand what's really happening in our neighborhood, share this video with everyone you know. Because mainstream media won't tell you these uncomfortable truths about foreign interference in South Asia. And if you like my content, kindly consider subscribing to the channel. Jai Hind.